On February 18, 1993, a night that began peacefully for the family took a devastating turn. After a dinner of Stephen's favorite Mexican food, he suddenly began experiencing severe chest pains and tragically passed away before reaching the hospital. However, it wasn't the food that caused his death. The real reason will shock you. Stay tuned to find out. In the vibrant city of Fort Worth, Texas, during the 1970s, a high school romance between Stephen and Beth blossomed amidst promises of a bright future. Stephen, charismatic and full of dreams, and Beth, an exceptional athlete, sealed their love with a young marriage. However, Stephen's military life led the young family to face unforeseen challenges, testing the bonds that seemed unbreakable. With the birth of Marie, the family dynamic began to shift. Constant moves and growing emotional distance created cracks that threatened to crumble everything they had built. After years of tension, Beth made a courageous decision, embarking on a new path that would lead her to rediscover love but also to face new dilemmas. Marie, in turn, grew up amidst this storm, navigating a sea of uncertainty and trying to find her place in the world. A series of unexpected events forced her to make drastic decisions, leading to consequences no one could have foreseen. In a tense and unexpected unfolding, dark secrets emerge, revealing the fragility of relationships and the weight of choices made in the heat of the moment. What follows is an intricate game of responsibility and guilt, where each character must confront their own demons to try and find redemption. This story, marked by love, betrayal, and new beginnings, invites the reader to explore the intricacies of human relationships and the complexity of forgiveness. But as the pieces of the puzzle come together, the question remains: how far is someone capable of going when pushed to the limit? If you're as intrigued as I am by this story of love, secrets, and shocking twists, then you won't want to miss the next chapter. Subscribe to our channel now. The story begins in Fort Worth, Texas, during the vibrant 1970s, a time of social change and new opportunities that shaped the future of many young people. In this setting of growth and promise, Stephen, the charismatic son of a modest insurance agency owner, stood out as a prominent figure at the local high school. His natural charisma and striking presence made him popular among his peers, a natural leader in any group he found himself in. Alongside Stephen, Beth shone as a rising star. With exceptional athletic talent, she competed in track and field, volleyball, and basketball. In addition to leading the school's honor club, her determination and discipline were evident to everyone who knew her, and her warm smile made everyone around her feel special. Beth wasn't just an athlete, but also an inspiration to her peers, someone who perfectly balanced academic life with her athletic passions. The romance between Stephen and Beth began innocently, like so many other teenage romances. They shared laughter in school hallways and sweet moments under the bleachers during games. However, as they spent more time together, the relationship quickly evolved into something deeper and more meaningful. They became the definition of the perfect couple, admired and envied by many. Their friends saw in them a partnership that transcended the typical difficulties of adolescence, a union that seemed destined to last forever. In 1974, shortly after Beth turned 18, the couple decided to take a big step and get married. They firmly believed that the love they shared could overcome any challenge life threw their way. The ceremony was simple but full of emotion, with close friends and family gathered to celebrate the union of two souls so clearly in love. However, life had other plans for Stephen and Beth. Shortly after the wedding, Stephen made the decision to sign a 4-year contract with the United States Navy, motivated by a deep desire to serve his country and secure a stable future for his new family. Stephen saw the Navy as an opportunity for growth and financial security. Beth, though proud of her husband's decision, couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness at the thought of the time they would spend apart. Stephen's choice introduced a new dynamic into the young couple's lives, bringing challenges they weren't yet prepared to face. The distance and responsibilities of military service would test their union in ways they could never have imagined. Yet, armed with love and determination, Stephen and Beth were determined to face whatever came their way, confident that their bond would be strong enough to overcome any obstacle. On July 10, 1976, the arrival of Marie brought a new light into Stephen and Beth's lives. The birth of their daughter was a moment of pure joy and hope, like a breath of fresh air amidst the uncertainties of military life. Marie's soft cries filled the hospital room, and as they held her for the first time, Stephen and Beth felt their hearts expand with a love they had never experienced before. In that instant, all their worries seemed to dissipate, replaced by dreams and promises they would do anything to fulfill. However, with Stephen serving in the Navy, the young family faced a nomadic lifestyle, moving frequently between military bases around the country. This constant transience became a significant challenge for Beth, who had to continually adapt to new environments while caring for Marie. Each move brought with it the task of rebuilding a home, making new friends, and finding their place in temporary communities. Beth strived to make each house a cozy home, filled with love and security for Marie, despite the impermanence that surrounded them. Life on military bases was marked by strict rules and a constant sense of transience. There was a rhythm of its own, dictated by military routines and the unpredictability of service orders. Beth often missed the stability that Fort Worth offered, the familiar streets, and the friendly faces she had left behind. Stephen's long absences, due to his military obligations, increased her sense of loneliness. She dedicated herself to raising Marie amidst these difficulties, trying to provide her daughter with a normal childhood, filling her days with play, bedtime stories, and lullabies, creating memories she hoped Marie would cherish forever. For Stephen, military service was a calling he felt compelled to answer. He was proud to serve his country, believing his actions were securing a better future for his family. However, the weight of this responsibility was also a source of growing tension in the marriage. The pressure of balancing his responsibilities as a husband, father, and serviceman began to weigh on him, leading to moments of reflection and doubt. He wondered if the choices he had made were truly benefiting those he loved, or if they were inadvertently creating a distance that would be difficult to overcome. As the years passed, the emotional distance between Stephen and Beth grew, testing the love that once seemed unshakable. The letters exchanged during Stephen's long missions became less frequent, and the conversations, once full of dreams and plans, became brief and practical. Even so, both strived to keep the flame alive, remembering the moments that united them and the promises made under the Texas stars. They knew the path they had chosen wasn't easy, but they also knew that somehow they would need to find a way to rekindle the love that had led them to embark on this journey together. After Stephen's military service ended, the family finally returned to Fort Worth, hoping to find the stability they longed for. The city, with its familiar streets and welcoming memories, seemed to offer a safe haven, a place where they could rebuild their lives away from the constant uncertainties of military bases. However, the expectation of a peaceful fresh start quickly unraveled as the tensions accumulated during the years of military life began to surface, revealing deep cracks in the relationship between Stephen and Beth. Beth, who had endured years of incessant change and long absences, began to express her growing dissatisfaction. The return to Fort Worth, though anticipated, didn't bring the peace she desired. She saw Stephen as a shadow of the man she had known, someone who had become unpredictable and prone to periods of melancholy. The invisible scars left by military service were evident in his distant gaze and sleepless nights. Stephen's inability to maintain steady employment further aggravated the situation, creating financial and emotional insecurities that strained the already fragile foundation of their marriage. Each failed attempt to find suitable work caused Stephen to sink further into a well of self-criticism and despair. Beth, in turn, found herself burdened with the responsibility of emotionally supporting the family while trying to raise Marie in a safe and loving environment. Daily life brought to the surface the stark contrast between what was once a passionate youthful love and the reality of a marriage marked by misunderstandings and unresolved resentment. Beth began to describe their relationship as a teenage infatuation that had lost its luster, a flame slowly dying under the weight of unmet expectations and broken promises. Stephen, in turn, wrestled with feelings of inadequacy and resentment, his temper becoming increasingly explosive and dominated by unfounded jealousy that reflected his deepest insecurities. In 1979, after countless attempts at reconciliation, including marriage counseling and nights filled with tearful conversations and renewed hope, Beth made the difficult decision to separate. It was a necessary step to preserve her sanity and Marie's emotional stability, who, despite her young age, was beginning to sense the palpable tension at home. The separation brought a mix of relief and sadness, a release from the chains of a failing relationship, but also the grief of a broken dream that once seemed so promising and full of potential. This new chapter in the family's life promised its own set of challenges, but Beth was determined to face them with the strength and resilience that had always defined her. She envisioned a brighter future for herself and her daughter, a future where she could finally find peace and stability, far from the ghosts of the past that had haunted her heart for so long. As she rebuilt her life, Beth found solace in the small victories of each day and the hope that, with time and patience, she and Marie could find their own happiness, a happiness that didn't depend on a lost love, but on the strength of the unbreakable bond between mother and daughter. Marie grew up amidst a whirlwind of emotions and constant change, but despite the adversity, she managed to blossom into an obedient and dedicated child. From an early age, she displayed a natural talent for music, finding in the clarinet a means of expression that transcended words. The melodies she played in the school orchestra weren't just notes. They were reflections of her deepest emotions, a symphony of feelings she couldn't articulate otherwise. Music became her refuge, an anchor amidst the storms of her life. Rehearsals and performances were moments where Marie felt truly alive, where each chord was a declaration of her unique identity. Beyond music, Marie developed a vibrant interest in art and dance, discovering in these hobbies more than just pastimes, but true outlets for coping with the difficulties that arose. The constant moves during her father's military service presented significant challenges. Each new city meant leaving friends behind, adjusting to new schools, and trying to find her place in unfamiliar surroundings. However, these experiences also taught her to be resilient and adaptable. Marie, with her inquisitive nature and indomitable spirit, found in each new city a chance to start anew, to reinvent herself, and to discover new facets of her personality. This adaptability made her extremely sociable and confident, able to make friends easily and integrate quickly into any group. At school, Marie excelled not only for her artistic abilities but also for her exemplary academic performance. She was a dedicated student, always striving to do her best in everything she did. For her, studying was more than an obligation. It was a way to prepare for a future she hoped would be bright and full of possibilities. However, behind the dedicated facade and academic achievements, there was a child who longed for stability, for a sense of permanence that always seemed to elude her. Marie's childhood, though filled with moments of joy and overcoming challenges, was also marked by a persistent feeling of always being in transit, searching for a place where she truly belonged. This search for belonging and understanding would shape her choices and behavior in the subsequent years, setting the stage for the challenges that still lay ahead. Marie carried with her the hope of one day finding a place she could call home, where the roots she so desperately desired could finally grow and strengthen. This hope would be the light guiding her steps, even in the darkest moments, as she navigated the complexities of her journey into adulthood. Leave your opinion in the comments. What did you think of this twist in the story? Let's chat. After separating from Stephen, Beth found herself in a period of introspection and personal renewal. The end of her marriage, though painful, created space for her to rediscover parts of herself that had been silenced by the demands of a strained relationship. It was during this transitional period that she met Frank Barrows, a former Navy officer whose path crossed hers unexpectedly. Their first encounter occurred while Stephen was still serving in Florida. On a sunny afternoon, Beth decided to attend a community event in Fort Worth, seeking a distraction and perhaps the opportunity to make new friends. It was there, amidst casual conversations and laughter, that she met Frank. He was organizing a talk on community safety, and their eyes met in a moment that felt predestined. What began as a polite greeting quickly blossomed into a natural, flowing conversation, revealing shared interests and experiences. Frank was a man of principle, shaped by his experiences in the military, yet with a gentle and understanding approach that immediately drew Beth in. He had a calming way of listening, a talent for making people feel valued and understood. This new connection provided Beth with a safe space to share her frustrations and hopes, something she hadn't experienced in a long time. In Frank, she found a supportive friend, someone who saw beyond the scars and recognized the strength she possessed. As their friendship blossomed, Beth and Frank began meeting regularly, discovering in each other a mutual understanding that was both comforting and stimulating. After Beth's official separation, the relationship naturally evolved into something deeper and more meaningful, a partnership built on respect and genuine love. In time, Frank made the decision to leave the Navy and join the police force in Graney, a small Texan town near Fort Worth. This new career offered him the stability he craved while also allowing him to stay close to Beth. He dedicated himself to his new role with the same fervor and discipline he had given to the Navy, but now with the added satisfaction of building a life that included Beth in his future. Frank, also separated, had strict rules regarding his children's contact with his ex-wife, something Beth completely respected and understood. For her, it was important that everyone involved felt respected and that the children had a safe and loving environment to grow up in. This mutual understanding and respect for each other's personal circumstances further solidified the bond between them. Beth and Frank's relationship brought a new dynamic to Marie's life, who was still adjusting to the changes after her parents' separation. Marie, always observant and sensitive, noticed her mother's newfound happiness and, though initially hesitant, began to open her heart to Frank. He, in turn, was patient and kind, allowing Marie to find her own pace in accepting the new reality. Although there were challenges ahead, Beth was determined to build a better future for herself and her daughter, with Frank by her side. This new phase promised hope and new beginnings, but it would also require adjustments and mutual understanding as they sought a fresh start together. Beth knew that with love and patience, they could face any obstacle that arose, creating a home where joy and security reigned. In 1981, Beth and Frank formalized their union in an intimate ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. The wedding symbolized not only a new beginning but also the hope of a stable and harmonious life after years of turmoil. However, shortly after the honeymoon, difficulties arose that would test the resilience of the couple and the new family structure. Beth realized that to support their new home and contribute to the family's well-being, she would need to find a job. This decision, though necessary, altered the family dynamic and reduced the time she could dedicate to the home and her daughter. Balancing work and personal life became a constant challenge, requiring adjustments and sacrifices from everyone involved. Marie, in turn, struggled to accept Frank's presence as her stepfather. The transition to a new family configuration brought feelings of resistance and mistrust. The young girl missed the times when her mother was always around and had difficulty understanding Frank's role in their lives. Recognizing the challenges, the family sought professional help to navigate the complexities of their new life. During therapy sessions, complex feelings from Frank towards Marie emerged, revealing the need for open dialogue and mutual understanding. The adaptation process was arduous, but Beth and Frank were determined to build a home where everyone could thrive, learning to accept and embrace their differences. As the years passed, the new family structure of Beth, Frank, and Marie faced increasing tensions that culminated in an inevitable crisis. The differences between Marie and Frank became more pronounced as they both struggled to find common ground. Marie, now a teenager, constantly questioned Frank's authority, challenging his rules and boundaries. The relationship between mother and daughter also began to fray. Beth, torn between her role as mediator and her professional responsibilities, found herself overwhelmed. The demands of work and the conflicts at home left little room for genuine connection with Marie, increasing the young girl's sense of isolation. The breaking point came when Marie, during an afternoon at home, walked in on Frank in a situation she considered compromising. Feeling betrayed and disrespected, Marie confronted Beth, demanding that something be done. Beth, caught off guard and torn between her love for her daughter and loyalty to her husband, struggled to find a solution that would satisfy everyone. Marie, frustrated by her mother's inaction, made the impulsive decision to leave home. With only a few belongings in a backpack, she left a note explaining her decision and set off to seek refuge with Stephen, her biological father. Marie's decision to leave home marked a significant turning point for the family. Her departure left a profound void and triggered a series of reflections and necessary adjustments. Beth, devastated by her daughter's absence, realized the urgency of reassessing her priorities and the impact of family decisions on Marie. Frank, on the other hand, was confronted with the consequences of his actions and the need to reevaluate his approach. Known for his discipline and strict rules, Frank had to face the reality that his leadership style might not have been the most suitable for a teenager like Marie. This was an opportunity for introspection, leading him to reconsider the rules he maintained regarding contact with his own children and how this might have influenced his relationship with Marie. During this period of separation, Marie found a safe haven with Stephen. Her biological father, understanding the complexities of the situation, offered unconditional support, allowing Marie to express her feelings and seek clarity about her emotions. This new living arrangement provided Marie with a different perspective on her family and herself. Marie's absence served as a catalyst for change within Beth and Frank's home. The couple began marriage counseling sessions, seeking to better understand their dynamics and how they could create a more welcoming and harmonious environment. Frank, in particular, started working on his authoritarian approach, realizing the importance of balancing discipline with empathy. Over time, communication between Beth, Frank, and Marie began to be re-established, paving the way for an eventual reconciliation. Marie's departure, though painful, was a crucial step for the family to grow and transform, learning to value understanding and love above rigid rules and expectations. Marie began a new chapter in her life when she moved in with her biological father, Stephen. This change brought a sense of relief and freedom, allowing her to distance herself from the conflicts that had marked her life with Beth and Frank. The new dynamic with Stephen offered Marie the stability and emotional support she desperately needed at that time. Stephen, for his part, was determined to provide Marie with a welcoming and understanding environment. He encouraged her to explore her interests and talents, especially in music and the arts, areas where Marie had always shone. This open and encouraging approach helped rebuild Marie's confidence and strengthen the bond between father and daughter. Living with Stephen also brought new responsibilities for Marie. She learned to better manage her time between studies and extracurricular activities, developing a personal discipline that would help her in her future academic and professional life. Stephen, with his life experience and understanding, acted as a mentor, guiding Marie in her decisions and offering valuable advice. During this time, Marie also had the opportunity to get to know her father's family better, forging bonds with relatives who were previously just distant figures in her life. These new family connections contributed to a renewed sense of belonging and identity. Life with Stephen not only provided Marie with the chance to grow and develop in a positive environment, but also prepared her to face future challenges with greater confidence and resilience. This period was crucial for Marie to redefine her family relationships and find a balance between her past and her future. Hey everyone! If you're enjoying this exciting story of growth and renewal, don't forget to like the video. It really helps us and ensures we can continue bringing you stories that touch your hearts and inspire reflection. Your participation makes all the difference. After settling in with her biological father, Stephen, Marie showed remarkable signs of adaptation and resilience. The move to a more stable and encouraging environment allowed her to explore her passions and interests more deeply, particularly in music and the arts. Stephen, with his understanding approach and unconditional support, provided the necessary space for Marie to flourish. At school, Marie continued to excel both academically and in her extracurricular activities. She became an active member of the school orchestra, gaining recognition for her clarinet skills. Furthermore, her involvement in art clubs and school events helped her build a solid circle of friends and develop leadership skills. Despite her outward success, Marie still carried the memories and challenges of her past. She often reflected on her relationship with Beth and Frank, and though there was pain, there was also a growing desire for reconciliation and understanding. Past experiences shaped her perspective, making her more empathetic and mature in her interactions with others. Stephen, recognizing the complexity of Marie's feelings, encouraged her to maintain open communication with Beth. He understood the importance of healing old wounds and finding a balance between the different parts of her life. Over time, through heartfelt conversations and occasional visits, Marie began to gradually rebuild her relationship with her mother. Marie's apparent adaptation wasn't just a facade but a true testament to her ability to overcome adversity and seek the best in any situation. On February 18, 1993, a night that should have been ordinary took a tragic turn for the family. It all started with a simple order of Mexican food, a favorite of Stephen's. The meal, anticipated with excitement, quickly became the prelude to a devastating sequence of events. Shortly after dinner, Stephen began experiencing severe chest pains, symptoms that intensified rapidly. At first, the family thought it might be something temporary, perhaps a reaction to the food, but Stephen's condition visibly worsened. The situation became critical, prompting Beth to immediately call for emergency services. The rescue team arrived quickly, but unfortunately, time was not on Stephen's side. At 38 years old, he didn't make it and passed away before reaching the hospital. The sudden and unexpected loss left the family in shock and immersed in deep grief. The medical examiner, after examining the body, concluded that the cause of death was a massive heart attack. Due to a lack of proper equipment, no toxicology tests were performed, leaving some unanswered questions about the events of that fateful night. Stephen's death was a devastating blow to everyone who knew him, marking the beginning of a period of mourning and reflection for the family. After Stephen's funeral, Beth made the difficult decision to move with Marie to Panama City, Florida. The move was seen as an opportunity for a fresh start, away from the painful memories and the environment that so strongly reminded them of Stephen. However, this decision brought intense and unexpected emotions to the surface. During the conversation about the move, Marie suffered a severe panic attack. The thought of leaving the place she associated with her father and her memories was overwhelming. The attack revealed the depth of her grief and the difficulty of accepting the new reality without Stephen. Over time, and with Beth's support, Marie began to adapt to life in the new city. Although the process was gradual and often painful, she found ways to honor her father's memory while building a new routine. Music and art continued to be her main sources of comfort and expression, helping her navigate her grief. 4 months after the move, Frank's unexpected arrival disrupted the fragile stability that Beth and Marie had begun to build. Frank expressed his desire to reconcile with Beth, bringing conflicting feelings and old resentments to the surface. Marie, outraged by Frank's reappearance, felt that her mother was betraying Stephen's memory. Unable to accept this new dynamic, Marie made the decision to return to Texas and live with her paternal grandfather. This choice, though difficult, was an important step for Marie, allowing her to seek an environment where she could feel more connected to her roots and find her own path toward healing. A year after Stephen's tragic death, Marie made a shocking confession to a close friend. She had poisoned her own father. The weight of this revelation was overwhelming, leading her friend to make the difficult decision to inform the authorities about what Marie had admitted. In 1995, Marie was arrested, and the case quickly gained attention due to the disturbing nature of the circumstances. Despite being only 17 years old at the time of the crime, Marie was tried as an adult, a fact that further intensified the legal and social repercussions of the case. During the trial, Marie claimed that her intention was never to cause Stephen's death. According to her testimony, the plan was only to make him sick enough to give her a reason to return to live with her mother, Beth. This desperate attempt to manipulate the family situation revealed the depth of her emotional turmoil and desperation for stability and family connection. The case generated intense debate about the judgment capacity of adolescents, the psychological implications of family trauma, and legal responsibility. Marie's confession and its consequences not only impacted her life but also left a lasting mark on everyone around her, raising questions about forgiveness, justice, and rehabilitation. Marie's trial attracted significant public attention, and the key witness in the case was Stacy, her best friend, who had revealed Marie's confession to the authorities. Stacy faced a moral dilemma in testifying against her friend, but understood the importance of her participation in the judicial process. Marie's defense attorneys argued that she had already suffered immensely from the loss of her father and the consequences of her actions. They emphasized her youth, emotional trauma, and the complex family circumstances that led to the tragic incident. The defense sought to show that Marie did not act with malicious intent but was driven by desperation and confusion. Despite the defense's arguments, the court sentenced Marie to 28 years in prison. However, the sentence included the possibility of parole after 7 years, taking into account her age and the hope of rehabilitation. This decision reflected a balance between the need for justice and the possibility of Marie's reintegration into society in the future. Immediately after the sentencing, the defense filed an appeal, seeking a review of the case and a potential reduction of the sentence. The appeal brought new opportunities to discuss the nuances of the case and the role of mitigating circumstances, keeping alive the hope that Marie could find a path to redemption and rebuild her life. Marie served 8 years in prison, a period marked by reflection and personal transformation. During her time incarcerated, she participated in various rehabilitation programs that helped her process past events and develop new skills for her future life. In 2003, Marie was released, beginning a new phase in her life. Now in her 40s, she adopted the name Dorothy, seeking to distance herself from the past and start anew in an environment where she could find peace and anonymity. Dorothy built a new life, marrying and creating a support circle that respects her privacy. Details about her current life are carefully kept secret, allowing her to live peacefully and shielded from the unwanted attention that marked her earlier years. This new identity in life offered Dorothy the opportunity to start over, far from the shadows of her past, as she continues to seek a path of peace and personal meaning.